And then we're going to go live. Hold on, wait for it. Yes. And we are live with and honored to call these two beautiful souls our brother and sister, Tracey and Tommy Martin. And you guys wear so many hats. I don't even know where to begin besides the most amazing wife, the most incredible mother, the most spectacular friend, mentor, life coach, teacher, trainer. I mean, it can go on and on for both of you. And the love between you both is what Marla and I also share with you, because we are four peas in a pod. And again, we are so blessed to have you here tonight and share your stories and how we met. And because when we do get together, the evening literally one stands still, but it literally could go until the sun comes up, because when we're in the zone, wow, that light just hits the heavens above. And so world, this is Tracey and Tommy. Tommy and Tracey, this is the world.
Nice. I like your world.
We do too.
I like that.
It's a blessed world. It is a blessed world. And we want you to share, like I said, this is about you and Tommy and how we met and how the tree of life and the intention stick came into your life. And we get to sit and listen and hold that space for you guys.
Well, first of all, the introduction, oh my gosh. And all that means, honestly, is I've just answered the calling that God's placed on my life. It's being willing to live through layers, and apply each one that I can be in service at a higher level. Yeah. I was joking, I was talking to you or who was I talking about, I said when I was declaring college or whatever, it was like, I want to be in mass communications. It just looks different.
Yes.
It still is. It still is mass communication. So, we've been married 26 years, believe it or not, and met in one of our favorite places, the gym, which is kind of like, our health and our fitness lifestyle is basically how we live our life. Out loud too. Yeah. And I think the cool thing about Tom and I, kind of like with you guys, is that there's such a connection that it's undeniable and unshakable at times, even though life can be difficult, and I think that it comes down to where do we go for our strength, and we're, foundational faith in that for us. And so we were blessed to meet you guys through a mutual friend, Letitia. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that I love about life is that whenever you have a little ding, and you're willing to answer the divine mapping and you don't question it. We just talked about this the other day, because he's always asking me to do an org chart on all the people that I've connected. And what's so funny, and my sweet Chad, my mentor. Yes. I have a guy right now that is 4 times removed. I met him through Chad. Someone else and someone else and someone else and someone else. Right?
Well, of course you did.
It's crazy. Of course I did. And it comes down to just that knowing, I think is so important. And I know that I've honed that skill and intuition, because I know it's never led me wrong. It might have led me in a way that I didn't want to be. It may be uncomfortable, but it's always been just such a great place of learning. And the divine mapping to me, how we met, and it just was. There was no question. You and I met Scott first. We could have stayed there all day, and then Marla walked into the office.
I know. I think, I'm not kidding you, I think we were in our office. Well, you and I probably were there for 2 hours talking. And it could have been even 3 hours. Then Marla came in, and I'm not kidding, I think it was another 2 hours at least. And, and like, oh my goodness, like the sun setting. And it's just like, we were in it. And it was literally brother and sisters being reunited. And just knowing we're divinely guided back into each other's lives in this lifetime, to know that all 4 of us are walking arm in arm and doing the work that we were brought here to do for every brother and sister and child on this planet. Yes. That's nothing will ever take us out of that path. Right?
No. And then when I went home and told Tom all about it, it was just like a natural thing, right?
It was. Tracey came home and she was like bursting with joy. And she goes, I've got to tell you about my day. And I've got to tell you who I met today and what we talked about and what we did. And like you said, Scott, then the evening got away from us and Tracey and I talked about you and Marla for literally the entire evening. And then I had the blessing to meet you both when Tracey brought me to you to receive my intention stick. And
I will call our relationship a bromance.
I literally lost it. I literally lost it whenever we were ordering at Grassroots, and you wanted to know if he wanted to go halvesies.
Hey, you both know, like Marla and I know about you two, we are our authentic selves.
Yes. Oh, totally.
And if I feel that comfortable to ask my brother, you want to go halvesies, we're in it.
We're in it to win it, man.
I know.
No, there are no boundaries. I mean, it's just like
when we dine together and break bread, we'll eat off each other's plates.
Absolutely. But
that's the authentic soul, right? I mean, I think one of the things about your work and my work and is just, you don't want to step away from your authentic self very long. No. I know sometimes, and especially like when I work with teens and young adults, it's like they're fighting for their authentic voice, and we're trying to unlearn things as parents so that we can get out of their way. Yeah. And I think so much of that is just, again, it's like the layers that are applied to us as we go through life. And when we met you guys, there was so much amazing synergy. I think that part of it was more than anything. It was just that synergy of realizing that it's like we finish each other's sentences. I mean, you have that time. And I know, Marla, when you and I have gone to lunch, wherever, we never have enough time. Never.
I know. So true.
It's like getting caught up with each other and making sure that we've got the latest and the greatest message, and where are you now and what are you doing, and the thing about that is just like, I mean, being married, you kind of come in and you just kind of do life together, and sometimes you aren't even intentional about that. So I think that that's an interesting thing too, that we all have. And so for me, I mean, first of all, the intention stick that I have never leaves me, by the way, ever.
I know.
And I can't tell you how many times that the interesting thing is that someone who is meant to see it asks questions. Yes. They'll stop me and say, that caught my eye. What is that? And I'm like, I'm so glad you asked me. Because then I take it off and I take the lid off and I take my intentions out. And because it gives me, otherwise sometimes, like you can't step in unless you're invited.
Yes.
And a lot of times people aren't ready to hear the message until they're open. So I think having that awareness of, like I said, the divine mapping and the divine connections, you realize that, I mean, I've had people that I've watched them look at it and then I won't say anything until they say, what is that? And I'm like, so glad you asked, because now I get to tell you, and even like Tom and I, it's like when you wear it, I think the biggest thing for me with this was like having you guys come to the event that I had was like literally everyone still talks about that. And so I've done the 5 events, I've done each one differently, and I want to circle back around to bringing you guys back in on a regular basis as your time allows, because the impact more than anything is what we want, right? When someone leaves that room, we want to leave them better than when we found them. Yes. And that was that day.
Since we've started this conversation, just our energy together, every hair on my body's been standing up. And it's just validation of why we were brought together. And that day at your event was so powerful. We were honored to be there and hold that space for all of those beautiful souls. And you're like, okay, you guys can go up and speak. And we weren't even a part of the program other than you said, would you like to come and join in? And we're like, we will be there to hold that space and celebrate both of you, because that's what family is for.
Now you're giving me the chills.
Right. But that's what we're all here, and we're all meant to do for one another. And we can come up with a million excuses, but I'm busy and I have an appointment. And we know how important that is not just for you and Tommy, but for those beautiful children, those beautiful souls that we got to meet. And just to briefly, we weren't even prepared. We're just like, okay, we're just getting up and we're going to say Scott and Marla brief, blah, blah, blah.
That's the best though, because
who we are.
That speaks from your heart.
Yes. And we never prepare, not meaning it, you're just exactly right. It just has to come from.
I don't either because I think it becomes too cumbersome for me. You know what I mean? I might have a presentation prepared, but even like Tommy's like, everyone that you've done differently. I said, because I have to be in that moment at that time and what makes sense. And I always ask, I always have a prayer. You know, it's basically, you know, please bless my words, my heart, my mouth, that I may create something that meant for someone in this space.
Yes.
And it just means whatever comes out of here, I don't know, and I'm not attached to it. I just want to be a vessel in the peace and healing of others.
You're setting your intention.
Yep.
Before you even step into that space. And what I've witnessed with you is it's almost the golden lights behind you, and you're channeling, because I shared this, I think, with Tommy. I said, I could not believe my eyes when I heard you speak. It was just flowing, a constant flow of energy and words and everything that was coming through you. I mean, you were lifted. I mean, seriously, you are really in your realm when you are on stage like that, because you always, and again, I have the chills because I know I'm right.
Absolutely.
You are so impactful, both of you, in what you do, and touching all the souls that you are through your tools that you're
Well, I think the cool thing about that is that, and thank you for that, because that really does, it hits me big time. Let me just tell you that. It's like Tom is the rock that's behind everything. He's the guy that's taking care of stuff, and you don't miss a beat. And then I'm the one that does that, because I mean, and it was funny because for a long time, and actually one of my intentions, so I have health and success and oneness and it's inspiration. I change them around. But it was interesting because I think I shared this with you, Marla. I had a tough time walking into that space, because not that I didn't want it, was the fact that was I worthy of it? You know, was I worthy? Who wants to hear, you know? And you struggle with that, you know, you really do. And I realized, and one of the girls that does the teen events with me too, it's like my greatest joy is stepping off that stage and letting the teens take the stage, you know, and then be able to give them their platform. And I realized as I was building this, and why I've gone through so many different like prototypes of it to make sure that I was like, knew what I was doing. It was basically came down to the fact that someone said, you know, why are you so uncomfortable with the spotlight? And I go, you know, I'm not uncomfortable with the spotlight, but it's never been about me. And then my girlfriend says, no, it's not about the light on you, it's the light in you.
That's right.
And that's what you shine out. And when she said that to me, that made sense to me, because I know this isn't, I'm a tool, I'm a vessel, and I'm grateful too. You know, I'm grateful to do that. And so there's been so many like metaphors like that have made me feel like, another girlfriend of mine, she said, you know, you're the stone that's thrown in the water, and then your clients are the ripple effect out in the world. Mm-hmm. And that really is creating an environment for growth for them and for us and for all of us. And that to me, more than anything, when I heard that, you know, I realized I'm just here to do my work. And so the gift that God gave me, my way of serving him, is to give it back.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all here to do. And what I'll never forget that day. Was that the very first event we did together?
Yeah. Okay. March 2nd.
So this was so powerful. So for those watching that don't know, Tracey had this incredible event that Marla and I were honored to be at. And yes, we got up and spoke for a brief time. And then what we do, and for those that have met Marla and I or come to our office or maybe have been at an event, before we ever give intention sticks to anyone, we'll either hold hands or we'll have the entire ballroom stand up and hold hands. And I think there was probably close to 80 people in there that day, right? Yep. We had the entire room stand up, hold hands, and we did these blessings for the entire room. And that energy, we were one. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was powerful, like to the point, the energy just like knocked me over. It was that pure and that beautiful. And you just felt one heartbeat and everyone filling up at the same time. But I'm going to let you share And then, yes, we passed out intention sticks to the beautiful leaders and speakers. But I want you both to share what took place next when we went out into the lobby to do that little bit of a ceremony for the intention sticks, because this was miraculous. Well, even though everything's miracles.
You want to talk about Boo?
Well, Scott, I wanted to back up first and just say when we did form the circle within the group, it was such a powerful moment. Just looking around the room, as you said, you could feel almost one heartbeat as everyone held hands, but just the emotions in everyone's faces. And I think that everybody was in a little different place, and that moment, that oneness, that togetherness, I think just touched every person in their own way, but just so deeply. We still have friends that talk about that day and your guys' presence there, and just how amazing that time was together.
Tommy, thank you for sharing that. Like my goosebumps have goosebumps.
Well, tell them about Boo.
Well, what you led into, Scott, was after we had the circle and the prayer and the blessing, which was so beautiful that you guys did. You brought gifts for some members of the group.
Yes.
And as we walked outside to distribute those and be with those people, our youngest daughter, Marina, decided that yes, she wanted an intention stick, and she really wanted one bad. And today would have been that perfect day for her to get one, but she wasn't
on the list.
She wasn't on the list.
She wasn't. We said bring a specific amount.
Right. And normally, so this is interesting that I'm sharing. So normally, which I do, I'll have 20 in my bag and in my car, in my gym bag, in Marla's car, in her purse. I mean, we never leave the house because there's always someone being guided, or we're being guided, and we're like, this is for you. But that day, we only brought, and I double checked and counted the number that you asked me to bring for the specific number of people. And we did them, we passed them out, and that was also very powerful. And then literally as we finished passing them out, you then came up to me and said, our daughter would like to have one. And Marla and I are like looking at each other like, okay, there's not an extra, but we look down and there's one intention stick package there, and we're like, did everyone, and sure enough, we triple checked, everyone you asked me to bring for received an intention stick. So this one came from above. And I tell you, it's still to this day, holy shift, right? Yeah. Because it wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to bring an extra one just in case. Yeah. No, and us held hands with your daughter, did those blessings. She chose her intentions, and wow, you watched.
Well, and you know, one of the great things about it is it, like, even in my coaching and that, we talk about anchors, you know, for people as they're going through things or whatever. And like, I've given away so many of them, and just like with you, it's like I always have one or two with me. I actually need to get some more now, but I have one or two with me, and I'm like going, you know, and I don't know, I just, you have that little voice that says, do you have one? And to myself, and I'm like, this is an opportunity. And I've done that with numerous people. I've sat down and just said, you notice mine, I'd like to gift you this, and then explain to them what that is. And it's just that moment in time, I think, that we, in today's world and society, we don't take those times. We brush those voices aside, and we don't, and I think we miss it. I think we miss a lot in this world because we do that, you know, and that's why I said I love the divine mapping so much, that, you know, if we have that within us to just take that split second, you know, that's kind of the way that I look at this, is like my grounding tool too. You know, I mean, I know that I have it on, I know what's in there, and I know that I have a certain specific way that I want to operate in this world, and it's a compass.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful.
You are so spot on. And you, what you just shared was a beautiful lesson for those listening and for the world, is to slow down and be present and understand the miracle taking place of a person. Again, no coincidences. You weren't at the right place at the right time. There's no randomness.
No.
We were guided. We were divinely guided to meet, or that person guided to meet us for that reason, to have a soul-to-soul connection. And as you and Tommy, as Marla and I know every day, to touch another soul, to inspire, to uplift, to help someone get through something maybe much more difficult than what someone else is going through, and let them know they're loved and they matter and they have purpose and they are just as important as anyone else in this world, which they are.
Yeah.
There is no one better than anyone, and there's no one worse than anyone in this world. That comes from ego, fear, politics, religion, greed, whatever you want to label it. But we are all the same, and we have to make sure that this world understands that, and it starts with our children. Yes, the adults, yes, we've all been programmed for not just generations, but thousands of years to think that someone is better than someone else because of color, religion, money, politics, and it's not. It's just another mask that was put on top of a mask and a mask. And it goes back to the beginning of this conversation about letting people be their authentic self, to shine their hearts and souls and not worry about what someone else thinks. We're not judged. Who are we to look at someone else and judge?
Exactly. And I think too, like when you have like in the demographic now, like I'm doing more like 16 to 26-year-olds and their families, it's interesting to see those inherited beliefs, you know, when you've got kids that are busting at the seams to be able to actually be who they are. And it's difficult. It's very difficult to watch that as a parent, but it basically comes down to, you know, we should actually evolve ourselves before we become parents, so that we are, you know, so that we are ready to receive these souls that God's given us, that we can actually, because they're not ours, you know, but I mean, but so oftentimes that's actually the portal for the progress of a parent, is through being a parent. Yeah. And so I think that part of, when you talked about the ego, Scott, is such a huge thing, because when we realize that we don't know what we don't know, and it's not from a place of less than or ego, it's just from where we are right now. And I think that the kids, especially, and this generation especially, it's very interesting, because whenever I do, I mean, you hear like, you know, people are afraid of confrontation or whatever. I'm like, no. Confrontation is just an intentional conversation.
Yes.
That's all it is. And it's like, I have some kids that ask me, you know, Tracey, what's the difference between, you know, telling my girlfriend that I love her, or that I love her and I want to protect her, but I'm not controlling her? I go, it's your intention. What's the intention behind it is what you have to always go back to. Yes. You know, and that requires major self-reflection. And that's why I think sometimes these are divinely, you know, put into people's hands, because I really do think that they're ready for that conversation that maybe they weren't ready, you know, a month or a year ago, who knows, you know. And it's like the seeking of it, of course, whatever, I think it was Rumi that says, what, you know, what seeking you is you're seeking, but it really does come down to the spiritual part of that we're so many different levels of a being, that when we can realize that we're hungry for the spiritual soul of who we are, and this feeds it, you know, the intention stick feeds it on so many levels, because you really realize that you have this grounding, this representation, I think, more than anything, of what you didn't know that you needed. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely. Wow.
It's so beautiful.
And you're right. And, you know, we talk about the sacred listening to one another, right? You're right. It's not about confrontation. It's all about the intention behind being our authentic selves, and wanting to be authentic with the person we're having the conversation with. Right. Because if we don't, then we're just keep pushing our feelings down and down, further and further. And as we all know, that creates illness within our body.
Yes.
And
yes.
So it really is.
And illness in our world.
And right, which extends out to illness,
because it'll come out somehow.
It'll come out somehow, and that's why we have to cut the cord, stop it within this generation. And so we completely understand what you mean by that. It's crucial to help shift the consciousness of people so they can cut the ties to prior generations and to stop the cycle.
Yeah.
So that the kids can learn to love and to give love away, because if they don't have it for themselves and they truly are not being authentic by giving love away, or if they don't have peace for themselves, how can they give peace away? Just within their family, their community, the country, and the world at large, it's impossible, because it's, as we just said, it starts with the ego, and conflicts start at home.
I mean, I can tell you right now, some of the families that I'm blessed to work with, and even like writing the curriculums and that, it's, you know, so much of it comes down to being able to be a courageous parent and admitting, and that's what one of the curriculums is, you know, becoming a courageous parent. Because if you're not willing to take a step back and give that, you know, that grace and that gap for your child, it just becomes chaos, you know. And it's so often, it's a beautiful thing to witness when I see a parent take a step back, and then I always tell the team, now you have to step up, you know. And it's like parents always say, you know, I'm raising you to be a free thinker, but just not under my roof. You know, it's like, no, it's going to go against your grain. You know, that's what it's supposed to be, you know. And I think that that's one of the things about, you know, the work that we do and the work that you guys do. It truly is realizing that you have a finite amount of time here, but you have a job or a purpose while you're here. And figuring out what that is, you know, is truly the highest version of yourself. One of my clients asked me the other day, they're like, T, what do you think is the greatest version of yourself? And I said, to be honest with you, I think the greatest version of myself is knowing that I'll never get there. Knowing that I will constantly reach and reach and reach for the next level that God's placed on my heart, that I can continue to do the service. And so for me, it's like, it's a standard that keeps raising and a level that keeps raising. And I don't want to reach that until I've done my work. And every time it prepares you for the next level.
And you're right, that will be endless. It's infinite.
And that is the tree of life.
Right. And just as the creator or energy is infinite, so is our souls. So that's why, as you said, it's I'm nothing, right? It's the dying every day, the rebirth every day, because what I've learned today is amazing, but tomorrow when I wake up, it's a whole new day again.
Absolutely.
And so it's infinite, and we just constantly are peeling the layers and opening the door and stepping through the threshold and just enjoying it too, and remembering that life is blissful. And as much as struggles come our way, or conflicts come our way, or pain comes our way, or illness, that remember that these are opportunities for our soul's elevation to grow while we're here,
right,
with the tree of life, but to also be blissful and happy along the journey. Because
there's another version that we haven't met of ourselves. I mean, we're on the other side of that. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that I always tell my clients, never be loyal to an old version of yourself, you know, because when you're doing that, you're forgetting that growth forward, and there's nothing back there that we've already seen it, you know. And so what's new is that gift and that and presence and all that kind of stuff, for sure.
And something so beautiful you touched on, Tracey, is that, and I'm also speaking for myself, and I can't blame parents or grandparents or great-grandparents, because I was never taught to truly communicate properly, right? Mm-hmm. We were taught to, okay, I need to make that person happy, and I need to wear that face when I'm talking to this person, I need to act that way when I'm speaking to that. And
you're taught to be obedient.
We were,
right.
So we have never, and I'm speaking for me,
Scott, did we grow up together in the same house?
Yeah. I told you we were separated apart. So we were never, Tommy, taught how to communicate, how to share our feelings. Because as Marla said earlier, we learn to swallow our emotions, swallow our anger,
absolutely,
swallow our fear. And like I said, it's going to come out somehow. God forbid, sickness or pain or anger. We're going to explode, because you can only push so much down for so long. And absolutely, if we don't learn to speak our truth, to again, goes back to authenticity of who we are, and not worrying about what the world thinks, not from a egotistical way, like, oh, I don't care what you think.
Right.
But then how will someone know who you or Tommy or Marla or I am? Because we've never been authentic, because we wore that face, or we wore that face, or we, again, think about COVID right now, a mask on top of a mask on top of a mask. enough with the masks and be who you are. I'm not talking to you two. I'm just talking generally in regards.
No, you're right, Scott. You're right. And the thing with the kids is what's so bad is they're already behind a screen. They can't be authentic. They're already behind their comparison part of it. And I can tell you right now, in the last probably 3 months, these kids, first of all, want more. They're calling it out. They want more, but they also realize that they've been given more. They're running in quicksand. You know, it's like they're trying to figure this out. And then you have the fear, which is just an amazing weapon right now. And then the parents hold on to that. And like you said, this is no fault. This is an observation, so we can create a better environment for these kids and for this generation, because these kids were brought here, the Generation Z, they're gonna accomplish some stuff. I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt.
We agree.
We see it already from 3 and 4 year olds that are receiving their intention sticks, that understand. They may not know what the intention means, but they'll know what the word love means, or peace, or kindness, you know, and they get it. They're not programmed yet to be that sheep in the herd, right?
Right. And the kids too, I think, from parenting, we and again, this isn't like, you know, like you were talking about, like your house, you grew up in that, you know, I mean, I was very blessed to be raised by 2 parents who allowed me to be me. And it was just such an authentic thing that now when I go back and I'm able to coach these kids, it's such a core thing for me that it's just automatic. But it's interesting because I always say it's easier to raise healthy kids than repair adults. Yeah. And when you look at it, we try to control our kids. I mean, they reject control, but they agree with discipline.
Yes.
To create that. But the discipline is from a place of abundance so that you're successful. It's not from a place of lack or scarcity. And there's all these languages that have been used that are so diluted, you know, in today's conversation. Even like, you know, like the word intention. When you sit there and you actually understand what it actually is, to where it's not this word that's just thrown around and there's actually a meaning behind it. Yes. We have to learn how to become master communicators again, because we've lost it.
But what's so beautiful that you both realize, and we realize, that nothing is ever too late in life. We can change if we want to. We can, again, set that intention to be intentional, right? To live and breathe what we speak about. Because if we don't, then they're just words. You may understand the word. You may understand love or gratitude or kindness or peace or compassion or consciousness, whatever that may be. But if we don't feel them and believe them and live them, then they're just words that you're speaking with. It's like saying prayers. You can read prayers, whether it's from the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, whatever book it may be. And if you're not feeling the words and saying them from your heart and soul, you're just reading words that have no meaning. And it's time to put the meaning back into this world, into our hearts and our souls, and let it come from love.
Time to go deep. We've been skimming the surface for a really long time.
We're going deep, girl. We're going in a time that's so needed to rattle these souls, because as you said earlier, they're all searching and thirsting that wisdom, right? That emptiness they're trying to receive it from the external, but they have to look inside themselves. The answers are there if we look, and sometimes it's scary because they may not like what they find.
Tracey, what did you say the other day about something to the effect of you can't have an outward relationship until you have
an internal dialogue?
Yeah, but there was a way that you said it that was really good.
I don't know.
Just like Marla and I. It's like, what did you say? That was brilliant. And she's like, I don't know, it just came out. I was in the flow. I channeled.
So Scott, Marla, I'd just like to say that when I wear the intention stick, I mean, when it goes around my neck, I think of you two first and foremost, every time it goes on. And I'm not sure, Scott, you talk about the words and really having them come to from your heart. I think right now with what's going on in the world and so much uncertainty and I'm not even sure if the word positivity is an intention in there. Is it?
It is.
Is it? Okay. But I can take
under light or inspire, in spirit, or success. Remember we spoke about, it's not 22 intentions Marla and I received. We found out much later in Kabbalah, each one of the words have 72 different interpretations. So that one word you may see may be completely different for someone else. So it's how you perceive that intention. And it's very powerful. So it falls under that umbrella. So that's why we kind of say, choose at least, no more. I mean, I know, Tracey, you can spiritually receive it, but we say try not to choose more than 3 at a time, because if not, it becomes very heavy. It's a lot to take on. I know that sounds interesting to someone that may not understand what we're talking about, but if you think about, let's say, for example, the word success, most people will think, oh, success, it's going to be monetary.
Yeah.
Okay. Success in a relationship, success in family, in community, success on a project, success global, whatever that is perceived by you. People always say, I don't see the word forgiveness out of the intentions. And it does. It falls under be, let it be. Right? To let go of something that no longer serves us and say, thank you for that lesson or that gift. And to be, because everything's perfect just as it is.
I mean, and just to piggyback off that, like one of the big things I hear is, like people are not grateful today or have gratitude today. And it's like there's this expectation that's attached to what that means to someone else, accusing the other person of not having it. Right. And I think that's one of our biggest misconceptions and miscommunications is we bring attachments and expectations rather than realizing that that person could be the most grateful person in the world, how they show that. That I think is one of the biggest things between relationships and parenting out in the world, that I think that we set an expectation, but yet we don't define what that expectation is clearly. So the other person can't meet it. So the outcomes are always miscommunication. Whereas if we can say, this is what I expect out of, this, and this, but then that still comes down to, I'm setting your intention for you.
Yes.
And it's like, no, we can't do that.
No. But Tommy, back to positive, there are so many beautiful intentions that exactly, and you're correct that you're sending out that positive energy, that light, that faith, that believe, that inspiration, whatever that is for you, to every brother and sister around the world, because we are tipping the scales right now. We're having calls on the other side of the world that the energy is just oozing from what goes, and it's miraculous. And people don't understand that sometimes what comes from our heart, whether it's with one another physically or on a Zoom call, or having a call on the other side of the world, it's being felt, because what goes up comes down immediately. We are all a part of this collective whole. So when you set that one blessing, that intention for the world, Tommy, the world is feeling it. And I shared with both you and Tracey, you are as important to this as Marla and I, because one, it's not about Marla and I. It is about us collectively and making sure that we reach every soul, not only now, but for generations to come. So those children stay on a path with a heart and know that we're here to help one another, to serve, to just make sure everyone understands that we're the same, regardless of what they were taught or educated to believe. It's, again, we're breaking the cycles, and it's coming from love.
Well, and the part of it coming from love is always coming from being inclusive too. I think that's one of the things with the generation today. We talk about Generation Z or whatever, and we're raising too. I know you guys are too. So it's like, when you realize that it's a language sometimes that they're not quite sure of because it's not necessarily heard in their particular world. But when you introduce it to them, they grasp it like that. Absolutely. I mean, they get it so fast, and it's such a cool thing to witness, and then, I've given these to my clients. I've definitely, I've given them as like, when I'm finished with a client, I'm like, okay, you're on your own now. Let's go see you fly.
It's like a go-to gift.
And you want to know something so beautiful, that gift that you give, as we say, to our family, right? I know you say family, it's not clients, it's family, because our spiritual family is growing around the world, but they're always going to remember you and Tommy and how you impacted their life, because when they're tested again, they have this to ground them and remember what you just shared, your wisdom, your hearts with them, to make sure they stay on that same path, that alignment. And we can't thank you enough for the love, for the ambassadors that you both are, and your children, and what you share, and you allowing us to come into your space and share this as we have you come into our space, because we are the same. And we're honored to call you family, and we love you both so much. I know we don't have to say it, but you just fill us up.
Right back at you both. And I think that that's one of the biggest things, is that, you know, it's not just a talk, it's a being, it's a way of being. And there's a big difference today that we need more of that. We need way more of that.
We do.
And someone that may be watching our conversation that either are saying, wow, you guys are woo woo, or you guys are rock stars. How would you share with someone that may not have an intention stick, or how this can impact their lives, as we've seen it not just for you and your family, but everyone you've shared this with?
I just think it's a ripple effect. I think so many times it just comes down to that one disruption. You know, but it's a good disruption. It's basically like, you know, going along your life, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're disrupted with this beautiful gift, you know. But even above and beyond that, it's then you have a conversation and you have a story, and it reverberates out into the world on so many different things. And yeah, we are energy, we know that, but there's a lot of people that can't identify what that is. You know, they don't know how to put a word to it. They just know, and it's like identifying and attaching to a feeling. That's something that you get. It's more powerful than people will really wrap their head around. I mean, that's my take on it. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I know Tracey wears hers more than I do, because I don't wear it every day when I go to work, because there's some situations where I don't wear jewelry. But I almost feel like when the intentions are in there, and when Tracey puts it on, I almost feel like you're putting on our armor.
It's my armor.
It's your armor. In the morning, you put it on, and right now, especially what's going on in the world, it doesn't matter what your intention is inside. There's just positivity that comes from it, that you feel, that you actually feel.
No, I think armor is a great way to say it, because I mean, I'm like that. I have a couple things that I put on that I know that, you know, it's like, it just makes me prepared. But more than anything, it's a mindset. You know, it's a mindset of understanding that you know, God's got me. You know, and that I don't need to worry about anything. I'm here doing my purpose in my job. And I love whenever I meet a client and they tell me, they're like, you know, and our family, when they find you, but I love when they say, I've been praying and seeking for someone, and here you are.
Yes.
You know, and you're like, let me step into that and be in service, you know, and that to me, I mean, he hears some of the phone calls, and he's just like, you know, it's like, I've been praying for this. And I'm like, well, let's get to work.
Yes.
And it comes back to the I am presence, right?
Yes.
The I am.
Yep.
And
I'm ready to go.
I love what you said. And what's really interesting, because I never, as Marla, we never take ours off. I mean, maybe if we go swimming, just take it off and put it right back on, because I remember one day, this is really a cute story. Marla happened to be going swimming or something, and she forgot to put it back on, because even though the words are waterproof, so you couldn't ruin the words, but she accidentally forgot to put it on, and she's like, wow, I really feel drained, and just wow, like unplugged. And she went to grab her intention stick, and she realized she didn't have it on. And she put it back on, and literally it was like plugging into an outlet and just rebooting, because as we say, every one of these has its own heartbeat.
Yes.
It becomes a part of you. And I love that you shared that it's like your armor, because it gives us that courage. It gives us the inspiration. It gives us the trust, because that, and you know, that's one Marla and I keep in ours permanently, is the word trust, because if we don't trust the journey, nothing else matters. We're being guided. And if we could just get out of our own way, watch the miracles unfold.
Agree, 100%.
Well said.
So I don't want this to end, but this will be the first of many calls or gatherings, and we can't wait for our next fun hugs of gathering. And
our breaking our bread.
Breaking our bread.
Tracey and Tommy, if someone wanted to get a hold of you to acquire your expertise and your coaching, how could they reach you?
Just go to the website. It's officially Tracey, TRACEY Martin.com. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. I've tagged you guys in so many photos because most of my photo shoots, they're all there.
I just want people to know how to reach you.
And if they can't get a hold of you,
TraceyMartin.com, the website is, and all my information is there. I'm very active on Instagram and social media, so I can reach people wherever they are and meet them where they are. So the website, and you can find me anywhere once you find me there.
And they can also, whoever's listening can ask Marla and I how to get a hold of you, and we'd be honored to share that. And one, we don't want this call to end, but we must until next time. But one, you already know we love you, we love you, we love you both. We honor you, we honor you.
We love you too.
As always, sending you both and your beautiful family blessings and intentions of gratitude, light, and love. And honored to call you our family.
We
Thank you so much.
Agree 100%. We receive it and we send it right back.
I'm already, we're there. It's just, literally, we're just like a love fest when we're together.
It is.
And
wait, do you see auras?
Yeah, your guys are beaming. Like seriously, I know you can't see this, but you guys are off the charts. Wow. And I'm just sharing that because some people may not understand what someone means by your aura. It's just, wow. So you're just like, wow. That's all I can tell you.
We're plugged into you guys.
Yeah.
Because of you.
And vice versa. We will see you soon.
Yes, we love you.
Love you.
Miss you.
And give your whole family our love. And
we will. We love you guys. Bye.
Abiento.
Bye.